What's up, this is Bibbs, and today we're breaking down a glitch hop track. This project was inspired by an artist named Slynk, and the name of this track is called Just Stay There. I'm gonna put a link in the description if you want to check it out. So let's get started with this intro chords. Let me play it back. So there's 4 different layers. The first one is electric piano. And you see the notes are not quantized. That's called a waterfall effect when you have the notes playing one after the other in a sloppy way like that. Then same concept with the guitar, so I strummed the strings slowly. Then we have a bounced reverb that's been reversed. And lastly, another electric piano, but this one is playing 1/8 notes to give it some movement. So let me play the whole thing back. Alright, so then we have the kick drums, and I have 2 different layers. I have the main kick drum, and as you can see, I shortened the body. It was a little too long. For these kind of tracks, you want to be economical with the length of your samples because there's so much going on. If you have samples going on for too long, it's going to sound messy and you're going to kill the groove. So that's for the main kick drum. And the other layer is actually a room mic that's being played with Addictive drums too. So I tried many times to use reverb, like a reverb plugin on an electronic kick drum, but most of the time it sounds very artificial and fake. What I like about Addictive drums is that, my guess is that it's playing back real recordings of a kick drum being hit in a nice sounding room. That's why it sounds a lot more natural. And also to note is that the ambient kick drum is being sidechained by the main kick drum. So the transient of this transient is not being layered with a room kick drum. All right. Then we have the snare. Nothing special, just one sample. But I do have a Trueverb plugin, and I like this one because it gives me a lot of control over the early reflection and the reverb tail. Then we have all the hi-hat stuff. So let me play the whole drum kit together. So these are mostly one-shot samples triggered with my sampler of choice, Phalanx, with the exception of this here, which is a chopped loop. Then going down to the bass. So let me play it. So we have this red clip here, which is me sliding down the bass guitar. So it's kind of an organic dubstep growl. That's how I see it. And then for everything else, all of these light and dark orange audio clips, they're actually part of longer audio files. So if I extend this, you're gonna see there's actually a lot more to it. So these are audio files that I created in another project. I came up with different of sound design for plug bass in MIDI with the synths. and I bounced it into audio, transposed the whole thing one note down, bounced it again, and I did that for all 12 notes. So this way I can just bring the audio file here. It's pretty practical. Just cut it. Let's say I know I want a bass here. All I have to do is slide through the audio file. And if I want to be more precise and more detailed into sound design, I can always bring back the actually MIDI that I used to bounce this. So that's a very useful technique with any style of music like glitch hop or complextro or dubstep, something that's sample based. Then we have a group called transients. So this is actually me fucking around with an audio recording of me tapping the electric bass, not intending to play any notes, but trying to get like something percussive. And then putting a lot of compression and distortion on them. So it's actually pretty subtle, but it definitely adds to the groove. So let me play in context. And without. And with. All right, so next we have the main chords. Let's play it. So that's a layer of 4. The first one is a Vengeance sample, choir sound. Then we have a Diva super saws with Phased by PhaseMistress by Soundtoys. Then we have an electric piano with Helion. And then we have actually a kick drum layering those chords. That's not something I usually do, but actually those chords were lacking some punch. So let me play it without the kick drum. And with. Then below we have these last chords here with a lot of vibrato. That's with Lush, and you can see it here. That's the mod wheel information. That's the data. So the higher it goes, the more pitch fluctuation you have. And that's being layered also with a guitar. And then everything else is pretty much bells and whistles. Sometimes it's in MIDI, sometimes in audio. When it's MIDI, it's meaning I had something very specific in mind. For example, this little transition. And usually when it's a sample, it's just me doing trial and error. And these samples are from songs that I sampled years ago that I wasn't using for a while, but I decided to go back to it and rename them by what chords or what note they were, and reorganizing them so it's easy for me to bring back into the project. So for example, here I have my major and my minor folder. So this way it's easy for me to just bring into the session and transposing it according to the key or that section of the track. All right. So these were the concepts I wanted to go over for this project. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.